Ever since Nate Diaz left the UFC, he's been doing everything but keeping low. In fact, he's trying to find some new opponents to fight next, and it looks like he might have finally found one. Jake Paul had expressed his interest in fighting Diaz in the past, and with their comments about each other and altercations between their teams, it looks like it might be happening soon. To know the whole story, keep watching. First, Michael Bisping's claims about Nate Diaz. Sports analyst Michael Bisping recently suggested that Diaz would lose in a boxing match against YouTuber-turned-wrestler Jake Paul. Bisping took to his podcast Believe You Me, where he talked about Diaz. He said that he doesn't hate Diaz and has nothing against him. In fact, he claimed to be a big fan of his attitude, but with all that being said, he didn't think that the 37-year-old MMA fighter would be able to beat Paul in a boxing fight because he believed that Nate was too small. The podcaster then went on to say that size matters a lot, and since Nate was predominantly a lightweight, he didn't have the power that Jake does. He then mentioned a recent altercation that happened between Team Paul and Team Diaz, and explained that while this is all great for creating hype, going around and getting thrown out of arenas is just not it. He went on to conclude his analysis by saying that if there's anything that both the problem child and Diaz could gain from, this would be lots of money and publicity. Up next, Diaz replied to Bisping. Nate took notice of what the podcaster had to say and clearly did not appreciate all that he had to say. He took to Twitter and posted a picture from one of the retired MMA fighter matches and followed it up with this caption: "The only fight I ever saw by this goofy Don't hate me, 'cause you ain't me, MB." Clearly, Diaz was not a big fan of Bisping's so-called constructive criticism and was making it known. Coming up, Diaz gets kicked out moments before Anderson Silva and Jake Paul's fight. According to reports, Jake and Nate's teams were involved in a 20-man backstage brawl in Arizona moments before Silva and Paul's match. The YouTuber was allegedly unaware about the brawl and was too busy being invested in his match. According to Ariel Helwani, the two teams came together backstage at the Desert Diamond Arena when hell broke loose. He live-tweeted the entire thing and explained that there was a big scuffle, during which things escalated quickly and things got physical soon. In the video that was leaked, Diaz, Nick Maximov, and Julia Avila were front and center yelling at Jake's bodyguard. After some back and forth, Diaz was seen slapping Paul's meditation coach, while Maximov was seen throwing a bottle of beer at Paul's bodyguard. Nate was also seen hitting one of Jake's team members with a water bottle and then telling his team to leave, announcing that they had won. Pictures of Diaz also emerged where he was seen slapping a member of Paul's team. Before things could get any more ugly, security was called and Diaz and his team were sent away from the premises. Next up, fans' reaction. Fans on Twitter had a field day when the videos of images of the fight emerged. One fan stated that Nate is always slapping people, and it's no wonder he keeps getting kicked off places because he has such a temper. Another stated that Diaz just slapped the life out of the tattooed covered friend of the 25-year-old YouTubers, and he showed them who's boss. All in all, fans were having the time of their lives with this new drama, and it made them want to see a match go down between the two even more. Now, let's talk about Jake's reaction. It didn't take long for Paul to find out what had gone down. He went on to comment on the entire incident and stated that Diaz had been acting like a Then, he said that everyone wants them to fight, but that doesn't mean Nate should start fighting people in the hallway. He then told Diaz to stop fighting people for free and asked him to do it in the ring and assured him that the fight can happen without him pulling these antics. It's obvious by now that Paul isn't the biggest fan of Diaz's attitude, and talking about it further, he stated that it's very typical of Nate to pull stuff like this and went on to call him a street gangster. Moving forward, Jake announces that he wants to fight Diaz. After the ex-Disney star won his match against Silva, he talked about his future prospects at a press conference. He first clarified that he had no idea about the fight that had taken place backstage. He then said that this is just the start and that he wants to fight Nate next and also wants to fight Mexican professional fighter Canelo Alvarez. The younger Paul brother revealed that he wants to fight Canelo because everyone said that he can't beat a striker, but now that he's won against Silva, he thinks he can easily go against Canelo. Referring to Silva, he said that he just just fought the greatest MMA fighters of all time, so he isn't too worried about fighting Diaz. Paul explained that Silva is a tougher opponent than Nate, and if he could defeat him, then Diaz was a piece of cake. Commenting on Diaz's fighting style, Paul called him a street fighter and stated that boxing was obviously a superior sport to that. He commented that Silva only knows jiu-jitsu, and comparing him to Anderson, he stated that Silva hits harder and is more slippery. And it seems like oddsmakers seem to agree with Jake, implying a 72.2% win probability. Coming up, Ariel Helwani discusses Nate Diaz and Jake Paul. Ariel Helwani was front and center all week for the Jake vs. Silva fight and also ran the pre-fight press conference and performer reporter duties during the broadcast. And according to the sports journalist, there's a good chance Nate might not want to fight Paul. According to Helwani, Diaz doesn't want to give the YouTuber turned boxer the respect of saying that he wants to fight him. He wants to let people know that he's got other things to do, and since he's a prideful person and a good fighter, he should be allowed to do that. The journalist went on to say that if Diaz needs to fight someone for clout, there are a lot of other people he can fight instead of Paul. He also mentioned some names that Diaz could potentially fight, recalling that he had mentioned Floyd Mayweather and Deji Olatunji on several occasions. Ariel stated that it's highly likely that Mayweather will fight Diaz since he fought Logan Paul and Deji as well. He went on to say that Nate has started his own promotion because he didn't want to fight under Paul's company, Mayweather Promotions, which is why he came up with his own. Now, will the fight actually take place? The question that everyone seems to be asking is, will the fight actually take place? Considering Diaz's record, he has been known as a stiff negotiator, and he seems to be busy with other things too. Paul, on the other hand, seems to be down to fight anyone else, especially after winning against Silva. He seems especially confident since he just beat a former world champion, and according to him, he's just going to do whatever he wants and fight whoever's willing and ready to show up. And while Paul has been raving about fighting Diaz for months now, it seems like he has his eyes on other opponents, especially after his incredible win against Silva. And as far as Jake's claims go, he has talked about fighting many opponents and has been successful in provoking a few so far since they don't really consider him a real boxer. Might be possible that after his win against Silva, things might change, but so far, nothing definite can be said about Diaz and Paul's supposed fight. Wrapping it up with Diaz's future plans. It looks like Paul might have to wait a bit more for this match because Nate is now entering the promoting game. It is actually expected that he is applying for promoter's license in the coming weeks in order to form his own promotion, Real Fight Inc. His new promotion is expected to promote not only MMA, but also Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and boxing as well. Diaz told his promoters that the tagline will be Real Ninjas, Real Fighters, Real. His team also released a full statement that stated Diaz will be applying for promoter's license to form Real Fight Inc. It further stated that this new venture has no bearing on his status as a fighter, where he will be very active. Real Fight Inc. is his expansion into the business side of sport to which he has contributed to in the past 20 years. It went on to say that the promotion will attract fighters from around the world, and Diaz is looking forward to this new venture. It is being said that he's waiting for a confirmation for his time period with UFC to end so that he can move forward with this venture. That's a wrap for this video. What do you think about Nate Diaz's response to Michael Bisping's claims? What do you think about the video leaked of Team Diaz fighting Team Paul? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.